Honestly, I wouldn't know where I would have been if I didn't make it. Hi there, welcome back to Journey with Steven, and definitely it has been some time since I last uploaded the video, and I thought why not I would just come back this time around and do story times since I can't travel. And it's already approaching September. Today it's the 27th of August, and there is actually two countries that Singapore is opening up to as for the moment to travel to for general leisure travels. So they are Brunei and New Zealand. However, I went to check the tickets for New Zealand. They don't come cheap, and there are only I think one or two flight at most going out of Singapore to New Zealand. So that said, it is not really something I would do because it's firstly about my budget, which is the return ticket costs more than $4,000 as for the moment. And secondly is that I'm still being with Ho here in Singapore and due to some commitments. So I really cannot afford to go out and travel as for the moment. So yeah, whoever knew that there is such a time, because I don't really know. But anyways, I am thinking of integrating myself to sharing stories right now, since that is what Journey with Steven is about as well, about sharing about my travel experience. And I never really talked about much on videos other than talking to my friends and people about my travel stories and what I encounter when I travel. But other than that, I really haven't shared much. So I thought why not I'll use my YouTube platform as also a place to share with all of you guys about my travel. So today I'll be sharing about my experience that happened about 2 years and 1 week ago, or 2 years and 2 weeks ago. So it is something that changed my life, because honestly I wouldn't know where I would have been if I didn't make it. Simply putting it into words. So I went to Bangkok for a few days, which I actually booked a round trip ticket. So I was actually scheduled for my exams in 2 days after I returned back from Bangkok. So everything was fine, I packed my bags, I packed my study materials in my bags before I left for my trip. So during my trip, I had quite a bit of fun, explored, meet up with my friends, meet new people as well, and then do all my shopping, just like the usuals, eating out. And it was just like, I don't know, it was a good time, I would say, but there was still like some part of like my time I used it to study. So everything was good until the last day. So I was actually going out to get my last minute shopping done, as well as a massage and just soaking in the last few hours of my trip before heading to the airport. So I was actually walking on the side of the road, because the walking pavements were actually deconstructed to be improved. So everything was taken apart. So everyone was like kind of forced to walk on the roadside. And lo and behold, that was my turning point. So I only remembered that I was actually walking. I was looking towards the side, and the next moment is that I was in the middle of the road lying down. And when I opened my eyes at the moment, I saw that there was that overhead bridge that I definitely know where it is. It's like kind of right in front. And then I turned to the side and I know that like I'm in the middle of this whole traffic junction, which has like 4 lanes or 5 lanes. So I was right in the middle of it, and I know that like there were ambulance right in front of me. So then that was the moment that I knew that I met an accident. And that was that. I just knocked out again. So I was totally blanked out from the whole period where I last saw the shop where I was intending to head to, which was right opposite, but then I haven't crossed or anything at all. And the next moment that I woke up was in the middle of the road. So fast forward, I went and reached to the hospital. I was unconscious. I don't know what happened, what they did, but they put me into a normal holding station or a holding ward. It was, and then I subconsciously got up, and then I noticed that my bag and my phone was with me. So I just texted my friend who was staying nearby, and I just texted that I'm in the hospital, and then I sent the location, and that was all. I blacked out again. It was terrifying to know that there is this thing that happened to me, like an accident happened to me, because I didn't prepare for this kind of thing to happen. And the worst part is that I actually bought a travel insurance, but I only activated it for September, where my trip was actually in August, because I was actually intending to use the travel insurance for my Europe trip onwards instead of using it for Bangkok, because I have always been to Bangkok. It's always my second home. And I just didn't expect to meet something like this. And it was really a turning point, because I then knew that I have to live a life full of purpose. And I just want to inspire everyone out there that it is very important to live a life with purpose every single day, because you don't know what will happen next, in the next minute, in the next hour, in the next day, in the next week, in the next month, in the next year. You seriously can't have a expectation of what will be, happening to you, because anything might happen at any point of time. So yeah, that was my turning point. So back to the topic, I was actually due to take my papers in 2 days, and I was in hospital feeling so sick and feeling horrible. So I was really persistent in coming back to Singapore, because firstly I got my papers, and secondly I already booked my trips around the world. So I will be starting off with Malaysia, and then after that I would go to London, and then afterwards back to Thailand again after the whole Europe trip. Yeah, Bangkok again, Thailand. But anyways, that aside, so I was quite persistent in like leaving hospital, despite the advisory was not to, because I was in a state of concussion. And I just went back to Singapore. I slept the whole flight, because I think I was under medication, so I wasn't feeling the best at all. So I took the flight, I went on the flight, I came back to Singapore. I rested the whole night, the next day as well. I just didn't had much of energy, and my mind was just in a very bad position. But the thing was that I just went to take the paper on that day itself. It was my computing mathematics paper, and the results didn't came out great. I wouldn't be very proud to say that I flunked the paper, but I still managed to pass the paper, despite that I didn't do the best that I could. But it was really something that didn't struck me that I would be happening to meet an accident. And I just want to say that I'm very grateful for the guy who actually like knocked me down, because this guy, he actually called the ambulance, and he came to the hospital with me and foot for my hospital bill, during that time. And there are some people that they will just hit and run, and that kind of thing might happen, and those people who got knocked down could eventually lose their life because of internal bleeding or things like that. So I'm really grateful for being in Thailand and meeting nice people at that point of time, because I wouldn't be here if not for whoever, you know, that sent me to the hospital. I didn't really got a time to catch him afterwards other than a quick thank you and goodbye, because I really had to leave for the airport. But if somehow, if this story is being shared and you know that you are the person, I just want to say thank you wholeheartedly, that thank you for sending me to the hospital at that day itself, and at that hour, at that minute, at that very second, and without any hesitation. I really I'm really in a loss for words, because uh everything just I believe that everything happened for a reason. And now it really took a long time for me to recover from a concussion. Nonetheless, I traveled around Europe with my concussion. The advice was that I should stay at home, I should rest up. But me being me, I was quite an adventurous person, so in the end I went to Europe. I took a month trip off during that period, and it wasn't the best time for me, because during my Europe trip there were in the middle of my Europe trip I was feeling so sick, because when I actually tilted my head, I felt that the world just moved, because when I move my head or I tilt my head a little bit, everything around me just seems to move alongside. And it was not like a small little feeling, it was very intense. So it was rather crazy of me to go. And during the time that I should come back to Singapore from London before I fly to Bangkok, on that day itself, I remember I was feeling so horrible. I did my last minute shopping. I was feeling so horrible that I just sat down at the bench, and I felt like I just cannot push myself to move out of like London or come back, I would say. But yeah, it really took a long time, because way afterwards I'm still feeling that concussion. But as of now, I'm feeling better already. The concussion didn't, how to say, it's faded. I would say the effects of the accident has faded away. But sometimes when I'm having a headache and stuff, I really wonder if it's effect of the accident. I really don't know, because I went for CT scans multiple times. The first time was in Bangkok hospital. I didn't really got a time to talk to the doctors, because I was in a rush to get out. And the second time was in Singapore General Hospital. As per my recollections was actually couple of days after my papers and before my Malaysia trip. So when I finished my CT scan, I didn't got a chance to talk to the doctors, but then the nurses came to me and said there was nothing that they found out, in that CT scan. So I really don't know what was going on. But then that was before my Europe trip. So Europe trip was when I really experienced the whole concussion, effects of that concussion, and it was quite horrible. So everything is still floating around the question of whether was there an after effect that left on me. But I think the main takeaway from this whole accident is that I know that there are many nice people out there, kind people, and people of a good heart. And I always know that Thai people are gracious and nice, and also live life with a purpose. And I hope that this story will inspire you to live life with a purpose. And definitely this video is not to deter people from traveling, but I would encourage people that are traveling solo, especially like me. Always good to get protection by buying insurance. I'm not advertising or being sponsored by any travel agency, or travel insurance, to do this video. But I just want to say that it's always a peace of mind, and if really there's something happening, then you can claim insurance, you know. So that's that for this video. So to everyone out there, I just want to say that take precautions when you travel, and definitely there are a lot of things to see and a lot of great things to explore ahead, and definitely please do not let any negative things that happen to you be a deterrence to your next adventure. And I just want to say once again, I'm very grateful for whatever that happened, and I'm still going to live life with a purpose and travel much more and explore the world ahead. So that's it for this story time sharing, and I hope that you guys enjoy this story that I shared. And yeah, more stories coming ahead soon, I guess. As of now, bye.